to Deep Sleep Stories. If these stories have helped you through restless nights, please leave a review. Reviews are what help this podcast grow, reach more listeners, and stay alive. Without them, even something meaningful can slowly disappear. So if this show has brought you comfort, that small act truly helps keep it going. Now, settle in, and let's begin.
You've found your way to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet place where your mind can soften and your body can rest. And tonight you'll be carried into a gentle tale of a rowboat drifting on a still lake and the sweetest nap that follows. Settle in now just as you are. Let your shoulders loosen, your jaw unclench, your hands rest without effort. Feel the surface beneath you holding your weight with patient steadiness, as if it has been waiting all day to support you. If it feels comfortable, let your eyes close or let them rest on a single point until everything blurs into calm. Breathe in slowly as if you're sipping warm air through a straw. Pause just a moment and then let your breath out like a long, quiet sigh. Again, breathe in and out. And notice how the exhale seems to make a little more room inside you. Each breath is a soft tide, arriving and leaving, washing the edges of your thoughts smooth. Imagine a place where the light is gentle and the world moves at a kinder pace. A place where the air carries the clean scent of water and sun-warmed wood. Somewhere near, reeds whisper to one another and a small lake reflects the sky as if the sky has decided to lie down and rest. With every breath, let the day grow farther away. Let sounds fade into the background. Let the mind stop trying to solve anything at all. There's nothing to figure out here. Only a slow unfolding like a leaf opening toward morning. And when you're ready, let the story begin, as naturally as sleep approaching. The lake lay quiet beneath a wide, pale sky, its surface so smooth it looked like a sheet of glass laid carefully over the world. Along the shoreline, grasses leaned in soft arcs, and the water lapped at the edge with a gentle, practiced rhythm, like a lullaby it had been singing for ages. A faint breeze moved through willow branches, teasing their long green fingers till they brushed the water and drew trembling lines of reflection. At the end of a weathered wooden dock, a small rowboat waited with unhurried patience. It was the kind of boat that had known many quiet afternoons, many slow journeys that didn't need to reach anywhere in particular. Its paint had faded into a comforting softness, the color of fog and pearl, and its wooden seats were warmed by the sun, holding the faint scent of pine and river-smooth driftwood. The traveler arrived without hurry, as if the lake had invited her, and she had simply said yes. She moved in an easy way, the way people do when they finally have nowhere else to be. Her steps were quiet on the dock's worn boards, and when she reached the rowboat, she paused to take in the stillness. The air felt cool in her lungs and warm on her skin. Somewhere in the reeds, a small bird made a sound like a secret being shared. And then the quiet returned, full and friendly. She knelt, steadying herself, with one hand on the boat's edge. The wood was smooth where many hands had touched it over the years, polished by time and weather. The boat rocked just slightly, a slow, reassuring motion, as if it were already teaching her the language of drifting. With a gentle shift of weight, she stepped into the boat and settled onto the center seat. The rowboat accepted her as naturally as water accepts a leaf. She picked up the oars, each one a simple shape, worn in the grip, balanced just right, and rested them in the oarlocks with a small, familiar click. She pushed off from the dock, and the boat glided forward, barely disturbing the mirror of the lake. The first pull of the oars was unforced. Wood dipped into water, water held the wood, and then released it with a silky hush. The sound was soft, more felt than heard, like velvet brushing velvet. As she rowed, the shore drifted away without complaint. Trees leaned back into the distance, their reflections stretching and smoothing behind her. The dock became a small line, then a smaller one, then simply part of the shoreline again, as if it had always been that way. The traveler's shoulders relaxed with the rhythm. Pull, glide, pull, glide. There was no rush, no hard effort. The lake did most of the work, holding her up, carrying her, receiving each oar stroke as a friendly suggestion rather than a command. Sunlight lay across the water in long, pale ribbons. A dragonfly skated over the surface, flashing blue and green as it turned. It paused near the boat for a moment, wings trembling like delicate glass, then lifted and vanished into the reeds, leaving the air slightly more magical than before. The traveler looked around, and it seemed as if the whole lake was made of gentle invitations. Here the wind was a whisper rather than a force. Here the sky held its clouds in loose, drifting clusters that moved as slowly as thoughts at bedtime. Here the water reflected everything with calm acceptance, never judging, never hurrying, only showing the world as it was. She rowed toward the center where the lake deepened and the reflections grew darker and more mysterious. Not frightening, just velvety. The kind of mystery that feels like a soft blanket over the mind. Beneath the surface, shadows moved lazily, fish drifting through cool green light. Every so often, a small circle formed on the water where something had risen to sip air or catch a floating speck. And then the lake smoothed itself again, as if smoothing a wrinkle from its own sheet. The boat's motion was steady, rocking gently in time with the traveler's breathing. She could feel the warmth of the sun on her arms and the coolness rising from the water beneath. Two comfortable temperatures meeting on her skin like a perfect balance. There were scents here too, the clean mineral smell of lake water, the earthy sweetness of mud and moss near the shore, the faint perfume of wild flowers that grew in the meadow beyond the trees. Each breath felt like it was rinsing something away, leaving her quieter inside. After a while, she slowed her rowing. The oars dipped once more, then lifted, beads of water rolling from the blades in small, sparkling trails. She let the oars rest, and the rowboat continued forward, gliding on the momentum it had gathered, moving like a thought drifting towards sleep. The lake seemed to hold her in its palm. She laid the oars carefully inside the boat, arranging them so they wouldn't clatter, as if she didn't want to wake the water. Then she shifted her weight, making herself more comfortable. The center seat was warm, but she could also feel the coolness beneath it, rising through the wood in a soothing way, as if the lake were offering her a quiet hand on her back. The traveler leaned back, letting her gaze soften. On the far side of the lake, a line of trees made a dark green border, their tops moving slightly in the breeze. A small path cut through the forest somewhere, though it was hard to see. The idea of paths felt distant now. Out here there was only drifting, only being. The cloud passed slowly overhead, and for a moment the sunlight dimmed. The boat's shadow deepened on the water. The air grew cooler just for an instant, as if the day had taken a slow breath in. Then the cloud moved on, and light returned, gentle and mild. The traveler's eyelids felt heavier, though she didn't fight it. She let them rest halfway closed, then opened again in a slow blink, as if her body was practicing for sleep. The boat rocked. The water made tiny sounds against the hull. Soft taps and murmurs, little sighs that came and went. Each sound was small enough to be harmless, steady enough to be comforting, like rain on a roof far away, like someone turning a page in another room. She listened without trying to analyze anything. Her mind didn't need to label the sounds. It only needed to receive them the way the lake received sunlight. As the rowboat drifted, it approached a place where the water seemed slightly darker, and the reflections became more vivid. Here, the sky on the lake's surface looked like an endless, upside-down world, and the boat seemed to float between two skies, one above and one below. It was in this quiet center that the lake felt most ancient. Not old in a heavy way, but old in a gentle way. Like a well-loved story told many times and still cherished. The lake had watched seasons come and go. It had watched snow settle on its edges and melt away again. It had watched summer lights sparkle, autumn leaves fall, and spring flowers return. It had learned the art of patience so completely that everything near it became more patient too. The traveler could feel that patience settling into her bones. Her breathing slowed naturally, in and out, slow and easy. Her thoughts, which had been busy earlier in the day, seemed to drift away like leaves on the water, carried toward a distant shore without needing her to follow. The rowboat turned slightly, guided by the faint breeze. It rotated in a slow circle, as if the lake were gently spinning her into comfort. And in that slow turning, something else happened. The air grew a touch softer, as if a veil had been drawn between the boat and the rest of the world. The sounds from the shore became quieter. Even the birds seemed to sing more distantly, their calls muffled in a calm hush. It wasn't silence exactly, it was a kind of deep quiet, like the quiet inside a forest after snowfall, or the quiet inside a room where someone has just fallen asleep. The traveler's head rested against the curve of the boat's side, and she let her eyes close fully. The sunlight warmed her eyelids. Behind them, colors glowed faintly. Amber, rose, a soft gold that shifted with each movement of the clouds. Her body felt heavy and safe. Her hands rested loosely in her lap. Her feet were comfortable, the wood beneath them steady. The boat continued to rock, a gentle cradle. In the water, the reflections swayed. In the sky, the clouds drifted. Everything moved slowly, as if time had decided to be kind. If someone had been watching from far away, they might have seen the small boat drifting near the center of the lake, turning lazily like a petal floating in a bowl. They might have noticed how the traveler looked completely at ease, as if she'd been waiting for this moment for a long time. The lake offered her its calm, the way a mother offers a child a lullaby. Under the boat, the water deepened, and with that depth came a feeling of cool mystery, not frightening but soothing. The lake's depths held their own quiet stories, their own slow movements. They held the soft swaying of underwater plants, the gentle glide of fish, the resting places of stones, smoothed by ages of water's touch. And somewhere, far below, there was the sense of something that was not exactly a creature, not exactly a spirit, and yet something present. The lake itself, perhaps, or the idea of the lake, or the feeling of being held by something vast and gentle. The traveler didn't need to name it. She only felt it as a deeper softness, a tender awareness in the world around her, as if the lake knew she was tired and had decided to take care of her. A breeze brushed across her forehead, cool and light. It carried the scent of lilies from a quiet corner of the lake, where pale blossoms floated in clusters, their petals like folded silk. That scent drifted into the boat and wrapped around her senses, calming and faintly sweet. Her breathing grew even slower. In the distance, a bell-like sound echoed once, very faint, as if from a buoy or a wind chime on some unseen porch. It was so soft it might have been imagined, but it added a delicate note to the quiet, like a single star appearing in a twilight sky. The rowboat drifted toward the lilies. Their stems were hidden beneath the surface, but their leaves spread wide and round, glossy and green. Some leaves had tiny beads of water on them, sparkling as if they carried small jewels. The blossoms rose above the leaves, pale and serene, their centers warm with yellow pollen. As the boat passed by, the traveler's hand lifted slightly, as though part of her wanted to reach out and touch a petal, but she didn't need to. The sight alone was enough. The lilies were already a gift, floating calmly, existing simply because they could. The boat moved through them without disturbing them much at all. It was as if the lilies knew how to share space with drifting things. Leaves brushed softly against the boat's side and then slid away. A dragonfly returned, hovering near a blossom. It dipped its tail to the water and rose again, as if making a tiny signature on the lake's surface. Then it flew away, and the ripples it left behind expanded outward in perfect circles, growing wider and softer until they disappeared. The traveler remained asleep or somewhere close to sleep, in that tender place between waking and dreaming, where the mind becomes gentle and the body becomes heavy. And in that in-between place, dreams began to arrive. They came as sensations rather than images at first. The sensation of warm sunlight on skin, the sensation of being rocked, held, carried, the sensation of floating in a world that asked nothing from her. Then slowly, images emerged. In her dreaming mind, she was still in the rowboat, but the lake had become even more luminous. The water glowed from within, like it held a soft light beneath the surface. The sky above was deeper blue, and the clouds were like pale islands drifting overhead. The lilies around her seemed to hum quietly, a sound more like feeling than hearing, as if the lake had a gentle heartbeat and the flowers were keeping time. She saw in her dream a small figure near the water's edge. Not a person exactly, and not an animal, but something made of mist and light. It stood among the reeds and watched the drifting boat without moving. The figure felt peaceful, almost shy. It did not wave or call out. It simply existed like a quiet guardian of the lake's calm. Its presence made the air feel even more still. In the dream, the rowboat drifted toward the reeds, but the traveler did not feel concerned. The reeds were soft, bending easily, and the boat's hull slid through them as if through curtain fabric. Within the reeds, the world was quieter still. The sounds of the open lake faded, replaced by the delicate rustle of tall stalks brushing one another. Sunlight filtered through in thin green-gold beams. Tiny insects floated in the air, glowing like dust motes. Somewhere a frog made a gentle croak, as if it too was half asleep. The rowboat found a small hidden cove, a pocket of water tucked away from the open lake. Here the water was darker and calmer, and the surface was dotted with round leaves and small floating blossoms. The air smelled of mint and damp earth. In the center of the cove, the boat came to rest without bumping anything. It simply stopped, as if the water had decided this was the perfect place for drifting to become resting. The traveler, in her dream, lay back even more fully, the boat becoming a cradle. She could feel the world breathing around her, the reeds breathing, the water breathing, the sky breathing. And then the misty figure appeared closer, though still at a respectful distance. It looked like a person shaped from morning fog, with faint glimmers like sunlight on dew. Its face was indistinct, but its presence was kind. It seemed to carry the quiet of the lake inside it, as if it was made from the same gentle substance. It did not speak with words. Instead, it offered a feeling, a soft understanding that drifted into the traveler's chest like warm tea. Rest, the feeling said, without saying it. Stay. Drift. Let go. The traveler's body responded by sinking deeper into sleep. her muscles loosened, her forehead smoothed, her mouth relaxed into the faintest hint of a peaceful smile. The rowboat rocked once, twice, a slow motion, and the cove's water answered with a hush. In the dream, the sky above the cove changed. The sunlight softened further, turning honey-colored, then amber. The day was moving toward evening, but there was no sense of urgency, only the natural unfolding of time, like a flower slowly closing. The misty figure seemed to brighten slightly as the light changed, as though it enjoyed twilight. It moved along the water's edge without making ripples, its motion as smooth as drifting smoke. The traveler watched, drowsy and calm, and her mind began to understand something without needing to explain it. This lake, this cove, this gentle figure, all of it existed in a place where rest was sacred, not a reward, not something to earn, simply something that belonged to every living being, like breath, like warmth, like the right to be held. The traveler's dream shifted again, and now the boat was drifting out of the cove, back into the open lake. But the world had changed. The lake's surface now reflected stars, even though the sky above still held a hint of soft twilight. It was as if the lake carried its own night inside it. A quiet universe beneath the boat. The rowboat glided over that starry reflection, and the traveler felt as though she were floating through space, cradled by water. No fear touched her, only wonder, and then even that wonder softened into simple peace. In the distance, a single lantern glowed on the shore, warm and welcoming. It did not call her to action. It did not ask her to come in. It simply offered the comforting idea that somewhere there was a gentle light waiting, if ever she wanted it. The boat drifted on. The traveler's eyelids in the waking world remained closed. Her breathing was deep and slow. The rhythm of the lake matched the rhythm of her body now, as if they had agreed on a shared tempo. A breeze passed again, cooler this time, hinting that the sun was lowering. The boat's wooden seat held the warmth. It had gathered all afternoon, and that warmth pressed gently into the traveler's back, soothing and steady. The boat rocked softly. A small wave touched the hull and slid away. Another followed. Each one was like a hand patting a blanket, tucking it in. On the shore, the meadow grasses moved in slow waves. Trees whispered to one another. The sky, still bright but mellow, began to deepen in color, as if it were slowly dimming the lights in preparation for night. The traveler slept on, and as she slept, the lake continued its quiet work, carrying her without effort. It turned the boat gently so the sun would not glare too harshly. It kept her drifting away from rocks and branches with subtle currents. It held her exactly where she needed to be. Time stretched, unmeasured and kind. Even the sounds of the world became softer. A distant bird call faded. The breeze became a whisper. The water's murmurs turned into a steady, soothing hush. The traveler's dreams became simpler now. They were no longer full of images. They became feelings. Warmth, safety, floating. and those feelings sank deeper and deeper into her, like stones settling into soft mud at the bottom of the lake. In the late afternoon, the boat drifted back toward the open water, away from the lilies and reeds, as if guided by an invisible hand. It moved slowly, turning in a wide, lazy curve that brought it nearer to the dock again, though not quickly, not insistently. The dock waited, the shore waited. Everything waited with the same patient quiet that the lake had always known. The traveler remained asleep and the world did not mind. It was as if the lake itself was keeping watch, making sure nothing hurried her. A gentle cloud moved across the sun, dimming the light. Shadows softened. The air cooled slightly. The boat rocked, and the traveler's breathing stayed smooth, steady. In her dream, she felt herself being wrapped in something like a blanket made of water and air. It was weightless, but it held her. It made her feel safe in the way a familiar song feels safe even when you can't remember all the words. Her thoughts drifted farther away, like a boat letting go of its last tie to shore. The lake's surface shimmered in the changing light. It was no longer bright, but it was still beautiful, like a pearl turning in a hand. The reflections of trees became deeper green. The reflections of clouds became soft gray. The reflection of sky became a quiet gradient, fading from pale blue into something more restful. The boat continued to drift. Eventually it moved into a place where the water was so calm that the rocking nearly stopped. The traveler's body sank even deeper into relaxation, as if the stillness had reached inside her and turned a key. Her face was peaceful. Her hands rested loosely. Her chest rose and fell in slow waves. The lake held her. And now, the story begins to slow even more, the way evening slows into night. The air is gentle. The water is quiet. The world is soft around the edges. The rowboat drifts without needing direction. The traveler sleeps without needing effort. There's nothing to do, nothing to solve, only rest, only the steady comfort of floating. The sounds become fewer, the thoughts become lighter, the body becomes heavier, sinking into calm. The lake is a cradle, the boat is a bed. Breath moves in and out, easy and slow. A quiet hush settles over everything. And the traveler, safe in the center of the lake, drifts deeper, deeper into comfort, deeper into sleep. The water's rhythm is steady. The rocking is faint. The mind is quiet. The day is far away now. Only softness remains, only calm, only the slow, gentle tide of breath. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.